Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Yawen Xu. Today we're diving into a topic that's not just shocking, but also extremely important: South Korea's deepfake porn crisis. In one of the world's most tech-savvy countries, a new form of digital sex crime is taking hold, mainly targeting women, including minors. Imagine logging online and finding explicit images of yourself, images you never agreed to be made. Yes, that's the terrifying reality for many South Korean women right now. South Korean police say 297 cases were reported in the first 7 months of this year. That's up from 180 last year and nearly double the number in 2021 when data first began to be collected. Surprisingly, teenagers were responsible for more than two-thirds of the offenses over the past 3 years. But the response to this digital epidemic has been slow and uneven. South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol has called for action, but many victims are still left without justice, and offenders often face minimal penalties. Why is this issue so difficult to tackle? Why are teenagers heavily involved? What's fueling the surge in deepfake porn, and how does it tie into broader issues of gender discrimination? We're going to break it down in more details with the South Korean journalist Jung-joo Lee, who's been covering the issue, and she joins us from Seoul. First of all, Jung-joo, do you know anyone around you who has experienced such incident? And based on your observation, how severe is the issue now in South Korea?
I do not know of anyone personally who has experienced such traumas, but I did get a chance to talk to this 17-year-old girl when I was writing my article about the recent issue.
Mhm.
Before the incident happened to her, which was about like a year ago, she was very present on social media and she posted a lot of pictures and like videos of herself and her friends there. And she also described as her past self to me as someone who was very happy and super positive. But ever since the incident, she said she terminated all of her social media accounts and she's been under severe emotional distress. And she was also threatened by the perpetrators who found her deepfake photos and videos on Telegram. And they would say things to her like, if you report me to the police, I'm going to send these to your friends and your family. So, like, don't even try it. And so, because of that, she hasn't been open about what happened to her until very recently when a number of crimes related to this came up. And so she said that she reported it to the police now, but she doesn't know anything about those people who basically tortured her for a year because she just never really got the chance to like try to figure out who these people are.
Mhm.
But currently in South Korea, it's not just people like my interviewee who are terminating their social media accounts or deleting their photos of themselves online. A lot of others, especially underage girls, are also doing so. And because of this, because the situation is so severe, a lot of people are scared to be more present on social media, and they're more refraining themselves from posting pictures of themselves on public accounts because they're scared they don't know where these photos are going to end up.
Yeah.
Basically, I got this toll from the Korean National Police Agency, and so out of the total number of deepfake pornography victims over 2021, 2023, 59.8% or 315 of them were underage. So, which is why a lot of underage girls are more
Mhm.
concerned about them being involved in this case.
Yes, as you mentioned, this is a major concerns
Mhm,
involved to teenagers in these
mhm,
crimes. I mean, they're both played as offenders and also victims. As you mentioned, I saw another number says that over the past 3 years, teenagers have been responsible for more than two-thirds of these offenses, and many of them are also minors. And it happened like at schools, middle schools, high schools, universities across the South Korea. So why do you think teenagers are so heavily involved into this crisis? Why would they target their classmates, their teachers, and also other females surrounding them?
Honestly, for us, while it was shocking to know that so many minors were involved in these crimes. According to related experts that I spoke to, deepfaking their peers is really nothing new among them. Apparently, it was something more like a trend and something that was a part of like their play culture. And they did it saying that they just did it for fun, and they didn't really know that this would cause harm or that this was a criminal action. And also as to why there's such a significant number of perpetrators targeting their peers. This is because a lot of the Telegram chat rooms, they were basically broadly labeled as humiliation rooms or friend of friend rooms for specific schools or regions consisting of members who are also a part of those specific schools or regions. And so a requirement that they acted in such chat rooms was to post photos of each other's peers, and then they would switch them up in the deepfake content. And that's how you would sort of stay active, which is why they would target their peers around them. And I guess for them, it was also easier for them to get the photos that they needed to do so.
Well, do you think that could be one of the reasons why we have seen a big increase in online deepfake crisis recently? Because as you mentioned, like in 2021, there were only about 160 cases reported, and last year, and then that number, the reported crisis, went up to 300 cases. So, what do you think is contributing to the surge in number of deepfake cases?
I think the surge could be because there's just not like enough relevant laws that are in place here. The South Korean law currently, it punishes those who edit or like synthesize or process these deepfake pornographic videos by up to 5 years in prison or a fine of up to 50 million won. But it doesn't punish whoever watches or downloads the deepfake pornography. And according to some legal experts, even if you are caught responsible for creating deepfake content, you have to prove that you did it for the purpose of dissemination. And if this can't be proven, the perpetrators can also find a super easy way out where they're not even held responsible for the criminal action that they committed. And this point actually has been very heavily criticized by Korean society and relevant activists. So the Korean government recently proposed to make some relevant amendments as fast as possible, so this loophole can be addressed as well.
Mm. Could you elaborate more on the penalty side of the story? Because as you said, first it's hard to attract every offenders about their actions in the Telegram chat room, and also even though they were identified and many received only maybe fines or suspended sentences rather than jail time. So do you think the South Korean government will really, do something to increase the penalty or, from the legal perspective, will crack down on this kind of criminal activities? Because many times we have also observed that judges, they think that this kind of damage is less severe compared to physical sexual violence. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, actually now the government has actually put in or actually they have announced that they would put in these measures to address these concerns because, like you said, these judges didn't really take these issues seriously, not just because they didn't think it was severe enough, but also just because it's just hard to like track these criminals down because they're active in a very privately run tap room because since Telegram is privately encrypted and these users are almost all running on an anonymity basis. But since the scandal was first reported, the president, he called for a thorough investigation and identification of all digital sex crimes, including deepfake pornography. And he also urged for more proper education measures to be held in schools so that we can establish a more healthy digital culture among Korean students and to making sure that this is not just something that you can do for fun, but something that should be really taken seriously and something that can be criminalized for. As the majority of the perpetrators are also students, like we have been talking about, the Ministry of Education, it also stated that it would take a firm stance against countering deepfake pornography in schools, such as expulsion for perpetrating students in high schools and transfers for perpetrating students in elementary and middle schools. Getting expelled when in elementary and middle school is not really a penalty in Korean schools because they're both considered compulsory education. But anyway, they also said that they would establish an emergency task force, which will be operated in schools nationwide, and they will also investigate into deepfake incidents on a weekly basis. They'll handle reports submitted by the victimized students. They'll provide psychological support for those students as well, and also work to increase awareness of such crimes in schools by strengthening digital ethics and accountability. The police have also added that they would conduct this crackdown on digital sex crimes involving deepfakes, and they would thoroughly track and arrest perpetrators that are involved in the production of this crime. They also stated that they are going to try to engage in investigating into Telegram itself by cooperating with international organizations like Interpol, for example. We don't know how this is going to go for so far because they only announced it yesterday.
Yeah.
But basically, as of Wednesday, the police have stated that they have conducted this they started conducting this crackdown since last week. And as of today, there have been 118 reports that were submitted to the police so far. And out of those reports, the police have identified perpetrators, and they have addressed 7. And they think that it was more easier to arrest these perpetrators this time because a lot of the victims, when they reported their issue, they also said, hey, this is the person that made deepfakes about me, so like investigate into this person. And they said that these sort of identifying victims identifying their perpetrators helped them in their case as well. And also, even in this case scenario, out of the 33 perpetrators, 31 were minors, and out of the 6 were minors as well. And at the National Assembly, the lawmakers, they claim that they are no longer going to ignore the situation because, like you said, they have been kind of distant in terms of making laws that could prevent digital sex crimes. And so basically, they're going to seek revisions into the laws that we just mentioned before about placing more heavier penalties and also penalizing those who watch and download such content and not just those who make or distribute the content itself.
Well, we have noticed actually this is not a single case here. We all know, like in 2019, there was an ninth room scandal, and where men use a Telegram chat room like this time to blackmail young women into sexual acts, and also there are ongoing spy camera issues as well. So why is this so challenging for the country, for South Korea, to address these issues that specifically targeting women? I mean, to what extent do you think these problems stem from structural discrimination against the women, despite President of South Korea, Lee Jung-joo, has said that such issue does not exist?
This is my personal opinion, but I think the reason why it's so hard to address these issues targeting women is because gender conflict is so prominent in South Korea, and being labeled as a feminist in Korea is really feared by even women as well, because there is this overwhelming perception that Korean feminists are radical and all they want is to be superior among men. And because of this issue, a lot of politicians also very wary of touching on the topic regarding gender equality and diversity discourse. And so oftentimes when these issues come up, they tackle the specific problem at hand, but they don't address the fact that it could come from structural discrimination or gender discrimination. And so this is, I think, the reason why the core problem being structural discrimination against women will not be able to be solved. And because of this, a lot of gender activists in Korea, they urge major politicians to acknowledge this problem is related to gender discrimination. But it's hard because they're wary of losing votes from those who speak against feminism. And a lot of them, especially for this current party, because they're a conservative party, a lot of their votes come from, or they think that these votes come from these people as well. And so they're a little bit scared of touching on that part of the voter circle. And online, you can also find these men being the drivers behind misogyny and hate speech against women, where they blame women and feminism itself for being the cause behind a lot of difficult social issues that are mainly talked about in Korea, such as like economic and social difficulties and like being distressed by high youth unemployment, spiking housing prices, growing economic inequalities, etc. And with these arguments at hand, I think you can say that problems like digital sex crimes do come from structural discrimination against women, especially among those who want to feel a sense of superiority or more powerful compared to their female peers.
That's all for this episode. If you found this discussion insightful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions, so leave a comment below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.